Hello and welcome to Citizen Pew. This is Citizen Pew Commentary, and today I'm going to be talking about 22 long rifle and why it has the coating on it it does. This stems from an issue I had at the range last weekend where I was running some 22 ammo through some magazines, these magazines specifically, that caused me some problems. And I said, you know what, I bet you a lot of people have had these problems. And I came back and looked at some forums, and sure enough, there was a lot of people who have had the same problems. But the sad thing was there wasn't a whole lot of information other than the forums to figure out what was going on. And after going to many ammunition manufacturers' websites, no help there either. So before we get started, I'm going to touch on the first topic, which is, why is there a coating in the first place? Alright, so why does 22 long rifle have a coating? Well, the coating's there to protect the bore of your rifle. Every time you shoot a bullet through your barrel, lead can wear off inside of there, and it dirties it up. It decreases your accuracy, and it increases the frequency of cleaning that you'll have to do before you regain that accuracy, basically. There is different types of coating for 22 long rifles. There's wax and there's copper coating. Now, for the longest time, it was just wax. But when the technology became available, copper coating was also used on 22 long rifles. And there's people who like one over the other and vice versa. So why would you use one or the other? Well, here's why. Alright, so I broke 22 long rifle down into three categories to make this easy. We have match grade, we have high velocity rounds, and we have just standard rounds. And each of those has users that want various characteristics. And I'm going to break down kind of how I've divided these up. So here we go. Match grade is a little bit slower, and it runs at around 1,050 feet per second. High velocity typically is around 1,200 feet per second. And then standard velocity is somewhere in between that, but the rule of thumb is 1,150 feet per second. So there you go. That's the different. That's how I broke the category down. Now those numbers might not be exact. I went through a couple forums and did some research, and that's kind of, there's really no defining variation. It really depends on each manufacturer, but yeah, I kind of summed it up there. Now, who's going to use what type of coating for each of those categories? Well, typically you'll see in match grade they'll be using wax coated bullets. In high velocity they're going to be using copper plated bullets, and then standard velocity you can find in either one. So when you're out there looking for ammo, keep that in mind. Depending on what you're using it for, you might want to switch from one product to another, or one coating to another. Now I will say I've got a variety of ammos here, and I'm just going to run through some examples for you. For competition, I typically have seen Norma or SK used, and these guys here, yeah, they're good quality. This is the Norma, and you can see it's just a lead bullet, and it has a wax coating on it. It has the wax coating on it is very predominant. It's there, versus something that may be like a Thunderbolt, a Remington Thunderbolt, or even the Aguila ammo here, which this is still good ammo. But you can actually feel the difference between a match grade and a kind of just standard round. And then for the copper plated, I have like the CCI mini mags here, and you can see they're copper plated. It even says it right here on the box, copper plated. And there's various qualities of copper plated. I would consider CCI higher end. I do shoot a lot of the Armscore here, and this is copper plated as well. And I've gone through lots of this. I've gone through lots of 22 of all brands, honestly. So, but let's move on. The last thing I wanted to talk about here was the issue I had. All right, so it's a hot summer's day, and I'm at the range. I'm just wanting to do some plinking, and I start loading up my magazines. I had, this one is the one that's in particular in question, and I loaded up with, I think I started with some Armscore, and then I went to some SK. I was trying to see what different brands would do in this rifle, and then I went to the Norma. Well, so as I'm out there in the heat, And it was. I think feels like 100 degrees type thing. It might have been high 90s, but it might have been in the hundreds, and it was humid too. But anyhow, the Armscore went through it fine. The SK went through it fine. And then I got to the Norma and I started having issues. And what I was having issues with was the magazine wasn't feeding. So you'd have the rounds in there and they wouldn't get up to the top right. And what I found was that the wax coating on it had, heated up and I had the box, I guess, sitting upside down while I was shooting the other loads, and the wax had dripped all over the casing. And just the whole bullet was covered with wax. It was real slimy, and it was causing it to bind up in my mag here. And so what I had to do was I started loading up some Thunderbolts and just trying to get, and I had to go about 2 whole mags worth to cycle through to get that kind of worked out of the magazine, and get back to it shooting normal. And for some reason, the Thunderbolts, the wax coating hadn't started melting on it. But as I started looking and investigating this, let me show you what I found. And this is the Norma box I actually had. I didn't shoot the whole round because of what had happened. And let's see here if you can see in here. See that? You can see where the wax had heated up and was dripping off. And, I don't know. I looked into it. Some say that may be from the factory just because the wax is still hot when it gets put in the box. But I have boxes that don't have anything that's on the inside of the box. So I'm wondering if it was just the heat. And so I started looking at, this is a brand new box of SK ammo. And I looked at it and I'm not seeing a whole lot in there. So there is a little bit in the back. So I'm wondering if maybe that there is some truth to it. But the severity is probably depending on how soon they put it in the box after it gets produced in the factory. So I'm kind of at a loss on whether the wax is dripped onto the box by the time you get it because of factory storage. But either way, it doesn't really pertain to this because the heat had because I had the box sitting upside down. I think that's what drew the wax down all over the bullet and got it to hang up. So if you've ever had this situation, that's probably what has been occurring, because I've heard of people with a Ruger that uses a magazine like this getting all gunked up, and I've heard of people with like a Savage mag such as this getting all gunked up. And like I said, there's not a whole lot of information on the internet about this. I went to many forums. I was pretty much all over the forums to figure it out. None of the manufacturers really had anything on their websites regarding this. And so it may be one of those things that you just experience when you're out in hot weather, and if you've got your box of ammo sitting out in the heat, which this one was kind of right on the edge. I did have shade over me, but this one was right there. It probably took more heat than anything. So that's the issue I had. And that's really what inspired me to do this video. But let me know what you think. If you've had this issue, let me know. This may explain it. It may all of a sudden be solved for you. It may not. I don't know. Leave me a comment about it. But, if you're an avid shooter of .22 long rifle, whether it's competition, whether it's hunting or anything, put some comments in the comment section. Let people know what ammo you use for what and why, what coating you prefer and why. Because like I said, I just didn't see a whole lot of information out there that just kind of breaks it down and gives you a nice chart. Now, if you know of one, let me know in the comment section, because I'd love to get that information and put something together to put it out there, either on my website or do a video of it. So anyhow, that's really all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed the content. I hope it was informative. If this is something that you think other people could benefit from, by all means share the video. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're liking the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you don't know if you like the channel, watch a few more videos, and then please hit that subscribe button below. And other than that, y'all have a good day.